So here's for another 10 talk from Berlin. Today with us is Chuck Porter and Crispin Porter Bogusky. I like to pick some aspects that we at the Berlin School are very interested in, like our people should be able to take their enterprise to a competitive place where they can compete against the competition in their industry. How about Crispin Porter, the place you occupy? I mean, the world knows you, but can you articulate the place?
We never planned any of this. Our whole idea was, let's just really do some work that's as good as we can do and try and get it produced. And we were fortunate that we found some really good people who were very passionate. And ideas are one thing, and ideas are important and valuable, but they're only valuable if they get produced. I mean, I go to a lot of agencies. In every agency that I go to, there's great work on the walls, wonderful stuff on the walls. But it's a question of what do you get produced? And we were very lucky to have some real ninjas who really killed themselves to make the work live. And so a lot of good work got done. It's the willingness to keep working until it's really good. I think that's why Alex was a better creative director than me, because as we started to get bigger, my tendency when we were working on a campaign, if it wasn't great, I would just take it and try and do it myself. And Alex had the will or the ability to send people back and back and back until it was great.
A willingness to really dig deep and do research.
Well, research is important. I think that some of the work that we've done, really the strategy that we were able to come to was better than the execution. The strategy was so smart, particularly for some of our early campaigns, like the anti-smoking campaign. It was all the strategy. We've sort of evolved into really trying to solve business problems. And once you've solved a business or identified a business problem and tried to solve that problem, it's much easier to do good work.
You guys are kind of salesman poets. Is that what you are?
Salesman poets. It never occurred to me to call them salesman poets. I don't think that they consider themselves either salesmen or poets. Probably more poets than salesmen. I think they consider themselves like problem solvers. Okay. I think that they look at something and they look at, on the face of it, okay, this is what this looks like. Here's where the problems are. Here's where this brand should live, and here's where it lives now. How do we solve this?
Have you built any expertises that you would say you would own them?
I don't know that I would claim that. I think early on, because we were very small, we got to be very good at using imagination instead of money, because we had little clients with small budgets. So we figured out ways to stretch dollars by doing things that generate a lot of publicity and other kinds of things like that. I think everyone has caught up. I think that early on in the when interactive began to emerge, I think we were an early starter in that. We engaged in viral marketing before it was called viral marketing. But like I said, I think everyone's caught up with that. I don't know that there are any particular expertises that we own now. I don't know that there are any expertises that anyone owns. I think people claim it. I don't know if I believe it. I am a much, much bigger believer in instinct and inspiration than I'm in process.
Leading clients and partners, what's your experience in that, rather than being led by them?
I think we were very fortunate in that early on, when we first began to gain some notoriety, we were doing pretty distinctive work, I think. And I think that the clients who came to us, they came because that's what they wanted to buy. So it wasn't as difficult as taking, a client that had been there for a long, long time and trying to turn them. And we had people who raised their hand and said, I want to buy that. So that meant, when I first joined the agency, over the first 3 years, I fired all the people and all the clients. Over 3 years, we had a complete turnover, because I wanted to get to a point where the work that we were doing would generate the kind of clients that wanted that work. And we were lucky that happened.
You obviously are very talented. having talented people, but you also take your enterprise where the people are, or you provide a place where your people want to be.
When we were in Miami, and we were only in Miami, we had a little office in LA, but mostly we were in Miami, and all of the creatives lived in Miami. And we went through a growth period where we were growing very dramatically, doubling in size every year for about 3 years. So we needed to recruit lots and lots of people. And as it happened, our chief recruiter sat right across the hall from me. And I heard her, we were trying to recruit a couple of interactive people, and I heard her talking to them, and we had 4 that we had identified. None of them took the job. One was from Boston, a couple from San Francisco, and all of them said, I love the agency, I love the job, I don't want to live in Miami, or my wife doesn't want to live in Miami. So Alex and I sat down and said, we need to figure out a way to get and keep this talent. Let's give them a choice of lifestyles. So we looked for a place that was the opposite of Miami, and it was Boulder, Colorado, which is little and quiet and up in the mountains, because we figured almost everyone in the world would like either Miami or Boulder, because they're two extremes. Yeah. And when we first decided to do it, we were very, very jammed in our office in Miami, very crowded. So I remember we had a meeting, it was just before Christmas, and we held up a big sign that said, there's good news, we're getting new office space. And everyone was like, yeah, great. And we held up another sign that said, in Boulder, Colorado. And before the end of the day, over 200 people had said to me, I'll move.
The departure of, as you said, creative genius like Alex Bogusky, how do you handle it?
Alex and I were partners for for 22 or 23 years, and I've known Alex since he was 10 years old. I've known him because I worked with his father, who was a really brilliant designer, and it's very, very hard. I think the good news is that for about the last 3 years Alex was there, he really trained some great people, and some of them have left, but most of them have stayed. And I don't think that you really replace someone with the exact same person. No two people are exactly alike, but you replace them with people who are also great, maybe have a different style or whatever. But it's hard.
One other part is very important. Especially in the creative business, how do you lead yourself?
No one's ever asked me that question. I think that it just comes from inside. I think there's 2 things going on. One is you really want to get this work done. You're looking at a project, or you're looking at a campaign, and you're realizing this can really be good. And so you're just enthusiastic to get it produced and get it sold and get it done because you want to get it done. I would imagine it's like a film director who has in his mind a vision, or her mind a vision of this film, and they really want to make it. And there's a point where it's not about the money, it's just about they want to actually get this done. And so I think that's what keeps you going. It's exciting and fun.
If you have to phrase your culture, your personal culture, in one sentence or in one word, what would that be?
I really crave independence. I don't, that's why I never had a job. It wasn't because I was such a visionary entrepreneur, it's just because I never wanted to have a job. I never wanted to work for anyone. And I've always felt that way. And so I think that I don't know if it's my personal culture, but it's certainly been a motivator my whole life, is that I don't ever want to have to go get a job, so I better succeed at what I'm doing now so I don't have to.
Hey, we're looking forward to the President's Lecture tonight. Well, so great to have you here.
Thank you.